So I like to talk about jobs, certain aspects of jobs. I've gone over for several years. People will complain about pay raises, and I show those people, um, just every aspect of like a job. If it comes up and I'm interested in it, especially when it comes to when people want minimum wage raised, and you know, it's in a job where a fucking stoned teenager could come in and do the job. Um, so we have this. Would you pay 17.97 for a Whopper meal? So we have $17 for a Whopper in San Francisco. Now it's the meal, but still, would you want to pay $18 for a burger that's not really that big to begin with? So a thing of fries and a drink. Remember when you could go into Burger King and get a meal for like $7? Yeah, what happened? But this is San Francisco. One of those places that like, oh well, we need to raise minimum wage to an extraordinary high amount, but then they realize, oh gee, we don't have the business to justify, because guess what? People think it's all fun and games. Like, oh my god, I'm getting $30 an hour. But people forget that these stores are owned. They have to pay rent. They have to pay for the electric. They have to pay for shipping the ingredients, or just the trucks in general. It's not just own a store, make food, make money, and then pay employees. There's more to it than that. So when shit like minimum wage is raised to 12, or not 12, but like 20, $25 an hour, this is what happens.
$17 for a Whopper in San Francisco.
$17 for the meal, $8.87 for the sandwich itself. We have this, the triple Whopper, and as someone who's worked at Burger King, I can tell you that these burgers are not worth this much money. But the triple Whopper meal, $21.39. I wonder what the minimum wage here is, what their pay rate is, because that's why it went up. That's why it went up. Because again, people think these fucking morons seem to think that the store is somehow running on infinite energy, that everything is paid for, that the trucks will just show up. No, it's the manager who takes inventory, writes down what they need, they put in that order, they have to pay. The place has rent, and it has electric that it runs on. So it's not just, oh, the employees are the only people there to... No. It doesn't fucking work like that. And it just shows that these people have never had a real fucking job in their lives. Because if they did, they would know that it's more than just pay employees. And as someone who doesn't have a job at Subway anymore, because the guy who owned all the Subways in the area, he wasn't paying his employees. He wasn't paying the trucks, so that we weren't getting the ingredients we needed. So one day, a couple months ago, he just closed down the stores. He just closed them down. 17 locations affected because this guy is a complete douchebag. But, he was behind on his rent in, I think it was Morganton. There's the three main ones. And he was behind by like $8,000. So again, it's not just have store and pay employees. No, you own the store, whether it's one person with multiple, like it was in my case with Subway, or each one is individual. Like right now, the Subway I worked at is open, but the one on the other side of town isn't, because they haven't found a buyer for it yet. The person who bought that one store didn't want to buy the other one. They seem like they're going to be individually owned. So regardless, there's still a property tax, a rental thing going on. So this is what happens when you oh, well, we want $30 an hour. Well, this they can't afford to pay you, and then prices like this go up. You get less hours. People get laid off, and then suddenly you have that $30 an hour, but now you're getting less hours. So now you're saying, oh, well, that $30 an hour just isn't good enough. It's not paying enough. It's not paying anything. Well, we can't survive on $30 an hour. And it just keeps going and going and going. Because these people don't use fucking common sense. I'm trying to see over here. Can we get okay, kind of French toast sticks. Looks like a 5-piece. $5, so $1 for each, which those things are like my wee very, very small hash browns. Same thing, not very big. That fries, it's just as fries. Oh, medium, it's a $5. Looks like $5.32. A beverage. I mean, that looks like a 6 or 5. That looks like a 4. Like a medium. It's 4. Bacon King, $19 just for the meal. $11 for, and I've said this too. I said sooner or later, this shit keeps happening, and suddenly you're paying $10, $11, $12 just for the sandwich, not for the meal, just for. And thank you, Burger King, for fucking proving my point. And it's in San Francisco, California, or as people call it, California. California's tried this. New York has tried this. With oh yeah, let's just give them $25 an hour. You lose business because no one wants to pay $20, or if they're just going for a sandwich, no one wants to pay all $8 for just a fucking sandwich or a burger. Like, again, I worked there. It's not like the freshest of ingredients. They're not high quality ingredients. It's not like it's being hand grilled anymore. You take the frozen patties, you put them into the broiler thing, you push them in, they go through, you set the timer because you have the Whopper patties and the regular burger patties. You push them in, you set the time, and then they flop out into the little tray, and you're not even doing it yourself anymore. Like, everything has become mechanized, obviously the fryers, you have microwaves being used. You have the, like I said, the grill is no longer there. It's a machine, a thing that you put it in. The broiler is essentially, that's what it is. It's a broiler. But you put it in, you just slide them in, and then they flop out on the other side. So apart from putting the sandwiches together, there's no real need for humans there. And yet, people feel the need to raise the minimum wage to like $20, $25 an hour for a job that's not worth that much. Again, it's not the freshest of ingredients. They're not fresh. They're not high quality. And the burger patties there are just like that. And that's why you have to see these adverts with so much other shit on there, because the burger, you're going there for a burger, not for the toppings. There's more condiments on the burger than burger itself. So, and then, you're going in there and you're paying $8 for when you could buy a pound of beef and make several burgers. I know beef has gone up. The last time I went to the store, which was like last year, the same like small uh, pound of beef, it was like $5. But then I went there and it was like $8, $9. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? What the fuck is this? This was last year, so I haven't really looked at meat since then, apart from my own, which it's hard to see sometimes, because my wee wee's so small. Um, but you could still a pound of beef. You could still not only several burgers out of them, but they're substantial. They're thick and juicy. These are just pathetic. Like whenever I have my break, I never ate at Burger King. I went over to Dairy Queen. One, because it was my goal to try basically every flavor of Blizzard on the menu when I worked at Burger King. They had like that big old wheel, like spin the wheel and whatever flavor it lands on. So I just did that. I'm like, oh well, I already have that one. Oh no, okay, s'mores. Haven't had this one yet. So I went in there, one because it was next door and I wanted to try the Blizzard flavors, and two because the chick who worked at the register liked me, so she was pretty cute. Although, me being me, I didn't care enough about it to act upon it. But yeah, I don't like, when they had their the chicken parmesan sandwich, right? I had the sandwich every day. And it wasn't because I liked it, but because every time I ordered it, it was different. Whether it either had too much sauce, like we'll start with the main part, the chicken. It was either too soggy, not soggy enough, as in it had like no sauce on it at all, dry. The next day it could be freaking nice and juicy. It was just different every freaking day because again, they're not actually really cooked by anyone. They're fried and all that. And so every day I had this chicken parmesan sandwich and it was just tasted different. Even if it was the same person making it, it just tasted different every single time, and it shows consistency. It's like why pay people a high amount of a high minimum wage when the consistency of these things is so freaking all over the place. But the burgers aren't even worth it. They were worth taking home for free because that's what we did at the end of the night. They're like, oh, we're about to throw the patties out. Who wants to take them home? And there was so much left over. Like, there would be just container after container after container. You get home, you can chop it up and use it for like a taco meat kind of thing. Add a little bit of moisture, like a whatever you can add to it. Some taco seasoning, because it's bland. There's no seasoning on it. It's so fucking bland. So you could add it to pasta. You could make tacos out of it. So I would just have like all these containers of meat in there, of patties, because no one wanted them. Again, they're so bland, and they're certainly not worth minimum of $9. Because after tax, it's pretty much $9. So you're spending $9 for one burger. And again, you have these places like California or New York thinking, oh, well, we need to raise the minimum wage. And then minimum wage is raised, and this is what happens. Because they need to compensate. Because now they can't afford to pay the rent and pay the electricity and to order the shipments for the store every week and to pay their employees. Sacrifices need to be made. And obviously they're not going to sacrifice paying the rent. Nope. No rent paid, no building, no store. They can't exactly sacrifice the electricity. because no electricity, no broiler, no fryer, no freezer to keep everything. Nope. So can't exactly sacrifice that. One could maybe like with my store, with the ingredients, the shipments and all that. But then you have angry customers, people leaving. I'm like, oh, sorry, we don't have any mayonnaise right now. We have no lettuce right now. So but any good reasonable owner is going to want to keep their stock up to snuff. So what does that leave the employees? They're not going to sacrifice everything else. They're going to sacrifice the employees. You're not as irreplaceable as you think. The minute you start getting $25, $30 an hour, your clock is ticking. It's just counting down, and it's only a matter of time before you start getting basically no hours or outright fired. Because it's either you or the quality of everything else. You're going to be sacrificed every time. I don't think you'll ever find a store owner saying, oh yeah, no, don't worry guys, you get to keep your $30 an hour and I'll just stop paying the trucks. Which ultimately would be bad, because then you don't get customers because you won't have ingredients. Or I would never, you never hear them say, oh, don't worry guys, you can get your $30 an hour, I'll just sacrifice the electricity. I just won't pay the electric. Oh wait, then we don't have any way to cook our food. Or, hey guys, don't worry, I'll just not pay the rent for a bit. Okay, well then this place gets essentially shut down for not paying rent. So, but sure, you keep asking for $25, $30 an hour for a job that a fucking stoned teenager can come in and do. You do you. Yeah, slay queen, you kings and queens. You do you. And then when no one wants to come in to pay fucking $11 for a goddamn burger, you sit there and wonder, why are we so dead all the time now? Where is everyone? Bum 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 ba 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 bum ba bum ba bum ba bum bum bum. Anyway, let me know what it is in your state. Are you paying at the bare minimum $9 for a hamburger? A hamburger? A Royale with cheese? Let me know. But that's gonna do it for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.